Quick question. If your IT company got hit with ransomware tomorrow, would you even find out about it before your patients did? It's not a hypothetical. In recent months and years, several dental-specific IT service providers have showed up on ransomware leak sites. And when the hackers don't get their ransom money from the IT guy, they go direct to the patients inside the database they just stole. They want their money one way or another. Then they create embarrassment and pressure to get you to pay. Now, I'm not here to pile crap on any specific IT provider. I used to be one, I know. It's a scary world in cyberland these days, and small healthcare is a much easier target than it used to be. I'm here because this story is a mirror for the entire managed IT industry that dental practices rely on. And most practices have no idea what they're actually buying when they sign that contract. Here's the thing, a lot of practices don't love hearing this at all. If your IT vendor gets breached, your compliance obligations don't go away. They actually multiply. You've got a business associate agreement, sure, but a BAA tells you what your vendor promised you. It doesn't tell you whether their password vault is actually encrypted or whether one technician has the same login for 300 client networks. If state or federal investigators ever come knocking after an incident, if you say, our IT guy handles that, it's not going to be a very good defense for you. At best, it's a description of your overall risk strategy. And then those investigators are going to ask if that was a reasonable strategy. And after all the data breaches I've worked on, trust me, it will never hold up. So let's talk about who you're actually paying and what you're paying for. Because we have an IT guy, and our IT guy helps us with HIPAA and cybersecurity, can cost you the exact same monthly fee and mean completely different things, or cost you wildly different fees. On one end, you've got a break-fix shop. Great people, answer the phone fast, but reactive. You might get antivirus, maybe a firewall, no real monitoring. In the middle, general managed service providers. Proactive, monitoring, patch management, decent backups, but their HIPAA awareness is often paper deep. They'll sign a BAA without necessarily mapping it to real controls. And then we've got healthcare-focused providers that know the rules and help you comply with them. They have encrypted credential vaults, enforced multi-factor authentication, they test their incident response plans, and they have insurance they can actually show you. Here's my warning though. Price, that's a weak signal for which tier you're in and which tier you should be in. And a friendly, responsive technician is not the same thing as a mature security program offering that will truly keep you secure while moving forward your technology goals. Those are two completely different measurements, and most practices only ever evaluate price. So let's talk about where the rules are going, because this is the part that should change how you shop for a vendor, even before anything's final. Now, the current HIPAA security rule hasn't been substantially updated since 2013. A lot of safeguards are labeled as addressable, meaning it's up to each organization's own risk analysis whether to implement them or offset that in some other way. Now, that flexibility is exactly why one vendor can encrypt everything and another one doesn't, and both can call themselves compliant. Now, back in January 2025, Health and Human Services and Office for Civil Rights proposed the biggest overhaul to the security rule since it was written. If it's finalized as proposed, encryption of patient data stops being optional. Multi-factor authentication becomes required everywhere. Vendors would need regular vulnerability scans and penetration testing. And business associates, including your IT company, they would have to report a security incident to you within 72 hours. Annoying? Yes, absolutely. It sounds like more effort and cost to your practice. But is it necessary? Also, yes, absolutely. I deal with incidents that are so incredibly preventable with these soon-to-be required items. So I say, let's embrace the suck and prevent an incident from happening in the first place. Now, I have to be straight with you. This is still a proposed rule. It hasn't been finalized yet. And the timeline has already passed its original target. And we've got a lot of industry pushback, meaning it could still be revised, delayed again, or even narrowed in scope from the current version. Now, As of right now, final action on the update to the HIPAA security rule is expected in July 2027, which means that's when we need to comply. But here's why that doesn't buy you a lot of time. Enforcement hasn't slowed down on the rule that already exists, and the random audit program enforced by Office for Civil Rights is full steam ahead and using the proposed changes as the current and new benchmark for what they want to see practices doing right now. Now, the direction of the HIPAA security rule is obvious, even if the exact date isn't. So the smart move is getting compliant internally, including closing that gap with your vendors now, not waiting for a final rule to force your hand. So, what do you actually ask before you sign or before you contract with a vendor or that contract renews autopilot? Ask if they'll sign a BAA naming specific safeguards, not boilerplate information. Ask if multi-factor authentication is enforced on every remote access account. Ask if your passwords are stored in an encrypted vault or a spreadsheet. Ask about their incident response plan, their cyber insurance limits, if they're onshore or offshore, if they're using AI, and whether they'll show you a security assessment. A vendor who answers these clearly, even with a few honest gaps that they're working on, they're telling you more than one who just says, don't worry, we've got it covered. We're fully HIPAA compliant or we're HIPAA certified. Vague confidence doesn't work when patients' data is at risk. Now here's the part that it is entirely in your control, no matter which vendor tier you're working with. Do your own annual risk analysis. Don't just outsource the thinking to your IT company for the security rule. Verify multi-factor authentication yourself instead of assuming it's just on. Verify your backups and ensure that you can actually restore from them when you need it. Read every BAA you sign and ask lots and lots of questions to ensure that they are able to honor the terms of the contract regarding how they secure the patient data. You're entrusting them with that patient data. Segment your guest Wi-Fi from your clinical network. While you're at it, segment surveillance cameras and audio systems too, because they don't need access to the healthcare network to do their job. Get shared passwords out of spreadsheets and into real password managers. Update your incident response plan to reflect current incidents, including cyber attacks that are actually possible. And if you don't have one, start. Carry cyber liability insurance sized to your patient volume. And train your team on phishing, as well as privacy, because that's still the number one way that these things start. And these emails are clever and not always easy to identify like they used to be. So here's my bottom line. Your IT vendor's incident response plan becomes your incident the moment it happens, whether or not you find out about it that day or weeks or months later. The fix is trusting the IT industry overall. In fact, most IT companies, even small ones, are truly honest about what they do and don't cover. The problem is there is no regulation, licensing, or oversight on IT providers. So the fix on you is asking, verifying, and doing the things mentioned in this video that don't depend on anybody but you. Now, if you want this broken down for your practice, your study club, or your association, that's exactly what I do. Reach out to Copper Penny Consulting and let's get your vendor risk and your entire HIPAA program realistically squared away.